Hello everyone and welcome back to Apple One-to-One. This is Will from the Apple One-to-One channel, our training channel, where we come and give you some great experiences. And we figured WWDC happened, and we figured we talk about our top 10 features that we're really looking forward to, but are very useful. More so not talking about what happened. There are so many channels to watch at, but as a user, what you're going to use every day that we feel like are the best. Frank is going to give his top 5 and I'm going to give my top 5, and we're going to start in macOS. For me, a feature that I don't say I use a lot is Spotlight, other than to open apps. Beyond that, it's a pretty non-useful device. In fact, a lot of ChatGPT stuff, I have a separate thing for that. But when I do my command space bar, trust me, there is not much here that I could do. Even if I want to look up certain things, it just doesn't like find certain things in the top of my list. I want it to be a little bit easier to find. So what they are doing is Spotlight is going to do a lot of automatic actions for you. They're also cleaning up the entire UI. It's going to make it nice and clean. They're just going to give you a faster way to browse like everyday tasks, which I'm looking forward to. In fact, inside of Spotlight, there's going to be a separation of applications, files, and even a clipboard feature. That is a feature I have installed via another app, but they're actually going to allow you now to do clipboard right directly into Spotlight. All you're going to do is command, and then there's going to be a icon here of all the items that you clipboarded. So time will tell if this is going to work out great or not, but I do feel like that there are some improvements in here that are going to be very beneficial to you if you want to use your Mac on an everyday basis using Spotlight a little bit more, including shortcuts within the apps. There's even a way you're in Pages and you could go to open Spotlight and do a command key, and it's actually going to work and actually get rid of like a background photo they showed in Pages, which is really neat. So you don't even have to go to the menu bar, which I think there are going to be really great features to learn with that, and I will definitely take advantage of it.
The first is the renaming of the iOS to iOS 26. This is a clear indication, as I've said in the past, that all of the operating systems are going to converge into one operating system, and they will be functional from platform to platform, iPhone to iPad to iWatch to Mac, etc.
If there is one thing from this keynote you're absolutely going to use if you're an iPad user, it's multitasking. Finally, we have a real multitasking experience that are not only as me as a user going to use, but everyone's going to use her. If you are a Mac user, you're going to be familiar with everything about this. They're going to have new ways to tile, new ways to control your windows. You're going to be able to actually take the edges and put the windows anywhere you want, and it stays that way. They're bringing the expose or mission control where you could separate all the windows on your screen and then just click on the one or tap on the one you want. They're bringing menu bar functionality to there, an easy thing to do. All you gotta do is swipe from the top, and because I have a keyboard and mouse, this is gonna also now be a pointer, a real pointer, not a circle, a real pointer that is going to be beneficial. This is without a doubt the best feature that was announced at WWDC. No way for me as an argument that it's going to be the best. There are just too many good things that they are bringing to the iPad that we've been asking for. They're making this a Mac experience that will hopefully convince a lot of people that, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't need a computer anymore. Can this be the real thing? The ad that they ran so many years ago about iPad being a computer, that was not real. This has the opportunity to make it a real deal.
First thing they did was they changed the icon design slightly, calling it liquid glass. They have a transparent selection that you can do. It'll be interesting, something to play with.
Sticking inside the macOS environment is the productivity features that are coming out with iPadOS 26. Number one, folders in the dock. Great. Love having folders just like you do on a Mac. That's a great feature to have. Color coding in the Files app. You can now color folders and put icons on it. I will tell you, I will definitely be using this not only on iPadOS, but on macOS as well. Imagine being able to color code, like for example, my wedding projects, making it pink and putting like a church on it, something like that. And hopefully it's going to uniform across, which is what I really hope they're going to do. I don't know that for a fact, but they are going to do that. One last thing is background tasks. So imagine if you're doing an iMovie or a Final Cut file file and you want to be able to do something else. You weren't able to do that. And now you're going to be able to do background tasks. In fact, I think on iPhone, there should also be a feature they should do. So we're going to be able to do so much more things on the iPad now with a combination of multitasking and also productivity. Imagine just having your quick folders in the dock. It makes it such a macOS experience that will benefit us as a customer going forward.
Now in Photos, they're going to give us a tab down at the bottom. They're going to give you tabs. First will be your library. Second will be collections. I think this will satisfy a lot of the complaints that people had with the last iteration of Photos.
Now, I am not a Vision Pro user, but I will say, being able to put widgets now on Vision OS and stick it somewhere in your room and being able to go back and go see that item, even if you restart your Vision Pro, is really neat. They did some really nice stuff with here. I'm going to refresh this. You could put clocks on the wall, images on the wall. You can put calendars on the wall. All these different things you could do with the widgets to blend them directly into your environment. Like, look at that. This is pretty neat. Imagine the depth of field that they put into this widget to tie it all in, that you don't have to keep your Vision Pro on or keep it installed or keep it running. You can turn it off, turn it back on, and everything stays exactly where you have it.
In the group chats, you can now create what they're calling polls. For example, if you're in a group chat and you're like, well, where would everybody like to eat dinner? Instead of going back and forth, you can create a poll, several choices, and have people vote on them. And you can see, if you look in the example here that they give us, you can see the live selections from the people. I think that's very interesting.
iOS 26, one of the great features that they finally did was clean up that camera app. I can guarantee you a lot of you just don't know or understand how to do a lot of things in there. And also the icons in there were just really difficult to work with. So they have simplified it. They really just put photo and video on the bottom, and you take a photo. You swipe up, and now they actually tell you what aperture is. They tell you what exposure is. So look at that. You can turn on the flash, the aperture, the styles, the aspect, the exposure. Before they were just icons, and maybe some people didn't understand what that meant. Here, you were able to kind of understand what they are. And I think that this is a very clean interface for the photo and video. You also now have your frame rates up there on the top left, which I think is great as well. Think of it now, you can tell your resolution, your frame rates, all right there just by a tap. Much faster, much easier than what the old UI used to be for iOS. So this is a great improvement that I'm going to use all the time.
And then the last thing are enhancements to CarPlay. Now, CarPlay I use quite a bit, so I do like the changes that are coming. You can have widgets. They have several new icons. When you get a response or a text, it doesn't take up the whole screen anymore. Your map is always in the background, so you won't miss a turn or anything like that. I think that's very, very nice. And then you have all of your icons with the individual pictures or emojis or whatever. I think it's going to be very, very handy. And you can see here, you can have widgets on the right-hand side and still have your map in the center. Going to be very handy. I almost forgot. Another very important feature, I think, is Translate, which will be active in your FaceTime or in a conversation on your phone. It will automatically, if you're dealing in multi-languages, it will automatically translate the language to, let's say, English if you're receiving the call, and it does it live on your device. I think this is something that can be very, very useful when you're if you have friends or relatives in Europe or wherever. Very, very handy feature, and if it works as smooth as a demo, I think it's going to be very, very nice.
Finally, I want to give Apple some credit. This is not going to be so much something that's going to be helpful for us every day, but I think it's important to know. Apple really didn't remove a lot of items this year as far as what iPhones and what iPads can be upgraded. There are 3 that I know of. With the iPad 7, I think the iPhone XR and XS, and that's it. everything else from iOS 18 is getting upgraded to this model. Now, of course, Apple Intelligent features will not be there unless you have an iPhone 15 Pro or above. But Apple is trying their best this year to not tell you they're coming out with something and then down the line that they are not going to release it. That was a problem last year. So this year, what they have said is that everything that they announced is pretty much going to be out on day one. I do notice that on the bottom that they do have some things not coming yet. It says even more in store. So my assumption is they're not coming out on the day of their launch, but that could be possible. Preview, awesome. Cannot wait to see that on iPad and iPhone. I love the preview app. It's much more powerful than you think it is. I don't use Journal app, but there are going to be some new experiences coming out for WebOS. What I think Apple did this year was they took their time. They know they're in a pickle here, and I think they did a great job of ironing out everything. The last 2 years, we've had the Vision Pro was announced on WWDC. We had Apple Intelligence announced last year at WWDC. Nothing really mind-breaking this year, except for me, iPadOS was a blown out amazing feature this year. So I'm giving them credit for that. I really hope that this is a refresh take on everything. I'm hoping that I can get into a developer beta so I can actually try this out on my iPad, even if I have to erase it. I don't care. I really want to try this stuff. And even live translation, which he talked about. So I think WWDC this year was good. It's not the most mind-blowing WWDC we have. We now have a uniform iPad system with the number being the same, which is great. So I hope that in the future that you know that if your device is compatible with all these updates, number one, always make sure you have a backup of everything. Use your Time Machine, use your iCloud. Make sure nothing is updated without having a backup. We have till the fall. There's going to be a lot of great videos to come out with a whole bunch of new things that we're going to learn about what we could do on these devices. And I'm looking forward to sharing those and teaching those to you, everybody. So for Frank, thank you very much for joining us on this episode. And I love every single one of you.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for viewing our content. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe so you can see all our training videos as well as links to download our podcast.